Hello. So I was just thinking about that commercial, the one where they're making a medication so that children who I call more functional minded can be more outgoing and social. Sorry, I have my own opinions on that. Here's why. All right, so to be fair, I'm not going to say that it's 100% a bad idea. And the reason for that is because the way the functional brain works, seeing is believing. And sometimes you have to kind of force the functional brain into something to get it to see something, to believe it, and then be okay with it. How many times have you looked at someone and said, oh, just try it, and they're against it again? No. Won't do it. So then somehow or another they get forced into it. And then they're like, oh, actually it wasn't so bad. Told you! Yeah, okay. So it does sometimes help to be forced into a situation. However, here's what first happened. The first thing happened was the world went from being a kind of more functional type world, meaning we worked more on facts and more on rules. It was a little bit too strict. And unfortunately, for the people that were more emotional minded, they didn't like it being so strict. Understandable. So now they started to emotionalize the world. Well, now it's everybody needs to get along. Everybody needs to be friends. Everybody needs to be happy all the time. And la 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 la. What about the people that are functional minded? They don't feel that way. They don't think that way. But now you're forcing them to do so. It's a trade-off. Long ago, when the world was more functional, the emotionalists had to close up their side of things, right? Couldn't be who they really are, right? So that messed with them. So now we're messing with the functionalists. Okay, fine. The only reason I say that this is a little bit worse than that, functionalizing a functionalist, or emotionalizing a functionalist, sorry, is because emotionalists have that ability to roll with things a lot better than functionalists. So when they were forced to do something, yes, there were repercussions. Yes, there are issues because of it, mental issues and whatnot. But it wasn't as devastating as I think this is going to end up being. The reason I say that is because the functional brain, it's not a roll with it side. It's where we get stuck. And the more issues that you cause for it, the more it's going to give back. Every day we attack our brain and we don't even know it. Television shows that we watch where something happens that could not have possibly happened. Fantasy things. And the ability to say, oh, just a television show, no big deal. That's the what if. That's that roll with it side. So people who are more like, no, that's not right. You know, we've all had times where we've been watching a show or a movie and gone, that can't be right. That can't happen. Yeah, it's like an attack on the brain. And I know you're like, well, attack? That sounds pretty strong to say that. It does sound pretty strong to say that, but that's what it is to the functional side. It's an attack. I can't call it any other way than what it really is. And if you need any proof of that, look at some of the people that, like loud sounds and they go like this. Like they look like they're being attacked, right? Well, that's what's happening to the functional brain. Ta-da! There's proof of it in the real world, I'm telling you people. Anyway, so we went from the emotional world, or the functional world, to the emotional world. Now we're in the emotional world, right? And we're trying to get children to be more social. And since they're not, we're forcing them to be, right? So that was the next step. Now we were forcing our children to go out and do things and be part of things. Well, so now we're starting to see a rise in ADHD and autism. Want to know why? Because I believe they're very much so connected to the functional side. Of course, there's a rise in depression and anxiety, but those are two things that the brain uses on a regular basis anyway, which is why a lot of times anybody with mental health issues and people even without mental health issues can suffer from depression and anxiety, because those are normal things, actually. The difficulty is it's just going to get worse because now you're actually medicating them. And medicating is actually altering them in a chemical way. Now, again, like I said, maybe it won't be such a bad thing for some people, because if you medicate them just enough for them to see, hey, this does make sense, it could work for you, and then stop the medication. I mean, I can't say for sure because everybody's affected differently by chemicals, but maybe that won't be so bad. But how many parents are going to think, oh, this works great, I'm going to keep it going? Including getting them to emotionalize in ways that they should not be. Not ways that, hey, there's some sense to that. That makes sense to make friends or whatnot. But to become over-trusting, that's not going to be good. As I said, it's kind of a 50-50. But I just want people to be aware of it. Not necessarily change it, but just simply be aware of it. Because sometimes actually that has a lot to do with being able to accept something. It's just my thought.